What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, we're here to talk about the top 10 physical media controversies of 2022. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this one, but I wanted to get comfortable. I wanted to get nice and cozy and relaxed for this video because we have got some real hot button topics to get into here today. Some stuff that brought the physical media community to a boiling point in 2022. So I wanted to get relaxed. I wanted to get into a spot where I just felt calm and collected because I feel like I'm going to get a little heated when I talk about some of this stuff here today. This is going to be straight, unfiltered Ken. We're going to talk about this stuff in a very real way. Look, before we get into it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media, Blu-rays, 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day on this channel. So if you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button and also be sure to like this video. Liking videos is very important, guys. And then, drop me a comment down below. We all have different opinions. We all have different perspectives. We all have certain releases that are more important to us than other releases. So let me know in the comment section below what pissed you off the most in 2022 as far as physical media. What is some of the stuff that really made your blood boil in 2022? Let me know that in that comment section below. Let's get wild down there, guys. Let me have it. Vent as much as you want in that comment section. That is what I want you to do. So let me hear about it in that comment section below. And I'm not going to cover everything, obviously. I'm not in like every single corner of physical media. There's some stuff that I don't really care about necessarily. There was some controversy recently with Severin, the Four Flies on Gray Velvet 4K release, where they advertised it as a big box set and it ended up being a slipcover. That was definitely a controversy, but I don't feel like I was in that. I don't really buy a lot of stuff from Severin, so I'll put that as an honorable mention because I know it was a big deal for me, and it sounds like a horrible thing for them to do. I would be pissed off if that happened to me for sure, but it didn't happen to me personally, so I'm not going to cover it here today. But yeah, we got, look, there was a lot of great stuff that came out in 2022. I didn't want to approach this from a super negative place, so I didn't want to do like a worst of the year kind of thing because I don't feel like there's a whole lot of stuff that I watched this year physical media wise that would qualify for a worst of the year. There's definitely stuff that was mediocre, but I don't know if I would put anything on a worst of the year list. So I didn't want to approach this from that way. I more or less just wanted to talk about the controversies and then talk about like which side I fell on the controversies. Because some of this stuff like I think is ridiculous that people got upset about and so worked up about. So again, we're going to talk about that. But let's go ahead and get into my number 10 physical media controversy of 2022. And we're going to talk about good old Scream Factory, Shout Factory and their mislabeling of their releases. That was a big controversy in 2022. I feel like they got a little bit better as the year went, but they did a lot of mess ups on their actual packaging. So on this Red Dawn 4K, so it says right there that there is Dolby Atmos on this release, and there is not Dolby Atmos on this release. Now on Blu-ray.com, and when they actually announced this, it did not say that it had Dolby Atmos. So if you were paying attention, if you knew what it had when it got announced, then you knew what to expect. But if you just saw this in Best Buy and picked it up and looked on the back and said, oh, it has Dolby Atmos, and that kind of persuaded you to buy it because it had that, and then you got it, you took it home, you popped it in, and it didn't have it, I imagine you were pretty hot about that. So that's one that's pretty bad. That's probably the worst mislabeling that they did, to be honest. But also the Child's Play 2 4K, they put that it had just regular DTS HD 5.1 on the back, and then it actually had Dolby Atmos. So that was one that you brought it home and that was a nice surprise. It actually has Dolby Atmos. And again, when they announced Child's Play 2, it was supposed to have the Dolby Atmos. They just put it on the back as something different. So just a lot of mess ups that it's like when you're a company like Scream Factory, you're on that level. You should not be making these kind of mistakes. Like people should be proofreading this stuff and catching this before, like it gets into mass production. So definitely stupid mistakes on their part, but that's not the funniest one. The funniest one to me, I actually don't have in the collection, is the 9th configuration. They actually mislabeled that on the spine. The actual name of the movie, the 9th coin figuration, which I found to be absolutely hilarious that they did that. And I imagine if you got that, I mean, that's a nice little collector's item. They mislabeled it. Now you have the wrong name on the side of the movie. Like, who does that? Like, I've never heard of that. Like in Blu-ray, DVD, VHS, physical media history. Let me know if you guys have in the comment section. I'm sure somebody that's been collecting a lot longer than I have or remembers back in the day. Maybe a VHS tape had the wrong labeling, but I don't remember like one time in my life buying a DVD and that had the wrong name of the movie on the spine of it. Let me know in the comment section if you have anything. But yeah, that's a tame one, the 10th. That's why it's in the 10th spot. Let's get into number 9. And this is something that you may have not even noticed, but this was something that was kind of, on the Blu-ray.com forums, and I saw it on Twitter, people talking about it. But the Craft 4K apparently had some issues like in the first 5 minutes as far as the actual transfer of the movie. So apparently on the 4K disc, it wasn't on the Blu-ray with the 4K scan. On the 4K disc, like in the very beginning, the movie actually lowers resolution, like when they're going through the clouds and the title card pops up for like a couple of seconds. And then like in the beginning, like the opening 4 minutes of the movie, it lowers down to like DVD quality. Now, when I watched it, I didn't even notice it. I had to, read all the stuff about it and then go back and watch it. And even when I rewatched it, I caught it. I could see that, yeah, it wasn't the best quality, but also it kind of felt like it fit with the actual like filmmaking of that actual scene. So I kind of gave it a pass. But anyway, to me, that wasn't that bad. Like, that's a very minor issue. And I think the problem is that Scream Factory never even addressed this. They never addressed it. They knew it was a problem. Overall, this was a great 4K release. Like, this looked fantastic on 4K. Definitely the best I'd ever seen it. So to judge the entire, release on that first 4 minutes just felt a little bit unfair to me. And I mean, it's just the clouds. Like, it's just the clouds. What do you care about the clouds for? Anyway, so I enjoyed this transfer. I thought it looked really great overall. It was definitely an improvement over that Scream Factory Blu-ray, because that wasn't even a 4K scan on the Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray of this doesn't have any issues. So the Blu-ray with the 4K scan, no issues at all. The 4K has the issues in the beginning. So yeah, the Craft, I don't think this one's that bad, but a lot of people got worked up over this, and I don't think that they should have. But that's my number 9. Getting into my number 8, again, this might not have been a controversy for you, but let's talk about the Halloween 4K collection, 1995 through 2002. So there's a controversy. There's multiple angles of controversy tied to this. First off, they put this in a box set, and they do not allow you to buy these individually. So you cannot buy Halloween H2O, and a lot of people would have just wanted to get this because a lot of people, this is one of their favorite Halloween movies, so they just wanted H2O. Now, you cannot get H2O without also buying Curse of Michael Myers and Resurrection. This is the big one. This is the one that nobody wanted, and a lot of people are speculating the only reason they did this box set was to make sure that they sold copies of this, because if they sold them separately, this one would not sell. And that was a part of the deal with Miramax and giving it to Scream Factory, because it's a different, studio that's given up these than the first 5 was. So yeah, so that was definitely a controversy, having to buy these all at the same time. And the second was the price point. The price point on this, when they first announced it, was like $110. And it's 3 movies. It's 3 movies, but you do get it's technically 4 if you count Curse of Michael Myers broke into 2 movies with the producer's cut and the theatrical cut. Technically 4 movies. You do get 8 discs in this set. The Curse of Michael Myers is 4 discs. But a lot of people are like, hell no, I'm not buying those 3 movies. First off, 2 out of 3 of them aren't even that great. And second off, that's 3 movies for $110, and it's just not worth it. So I completely understand that. Let's talk about the other controversy with Walmart. We could talk about the Walmart thing real quick. So Walmart actually had this at $25 at one point. A lot of people jumped on it, and then they canceled everybody's orders. So that was another situation. We dealt with that this year with Scream Factory stuff, but actually their actual website, this was another Scream Factory that they lowered way down to 25. People bought it, and they did not honor that purchase. So that kind of soured some people as well. Definitely soured me. But I ended up buying this because it's Halloween. I'm a completionist. I want to get all the Halloween movies, and I actually really enjoyed these releases. I actually like Curse of Michael Myers far more than I remember. H2O I actually like far more than I remembered recently watching. I actually didn't like it at all a couple of years ago when I watched it. And Resurrection, I got a soft spot for it. I watched it when I was a teenager. And I think it's fun. It's not great, but it's fun. So I enjoy it, and they look great. They all look great on 4K. And these box sets, I wish Screen Factory would do more of these box sets for sure. But this was definitely a controversial release, mostly because they made you buy all these. And I don't know if you'll ever get to buy these individually or not. So, but right now this is $91. So that's the lowest it's ever been on Amazon. If you did want to purchase that. All right, let's get into my number 7. We're on a run of Scream Factory right here. God, Scream Factory messed up all year long, didn't they? But look, let's talk about this. And this one's really personal to me. This may have not have upset as many people as it did me. But we got to talk about the Evil Dead 4K release by Scream Factory. First of all, the transfer is okay. I'm not going to say the transfer is bad. Like, it's an okay 4K transfer. But the thing that I have a problem with is this is a premium collector's edition 4K release, and they charge $37 for this. Now, I pre-ordered this, got it in a little bit early, which is a stupid mistake on my part. I'm not really doing that stuff anymore with Screen Factory pre-orders. I'm just not doing it. But this is a premium 4K release for $37, and I paid like $42 to pre-order it. It's only got one disc. It's only got one disc, and it has one 4K disc. Now, usually with the Scream Factory releases, they'll have multiple discs. They'll have, and I mean the unrated cut and the theatrical cut is in this, but, you know, I figured we would get separate discs for those. They wouldn't be compressed on one disc. So you have them both in 4K on one disc. And there's no Blu-ray, which, you know, I always look, if you're going to charge that much, give me the Blu-ray. Do I need the Blu-ray? I might. I don't have a 4K player in every room in my house. Maybe I want to watch it in here. I just have a Blu-ray player in this room. But just the 4K, and you charge the exact same. You don't lower the price like $4 or $5. That pissed me off. And then getting into the actual release, there's no new special features. All the special features on this release were ported over from the existing releases, the DVD and Blu-ray releases. So yeah, I just thought that this was the laziest. This is the Scream Factory release, and we'll talk about Scream Factory a little bit more, but this is the Scream Factory release that pissed me off the most. And if I was doing a worst of the year list, this would be number one. This would be hands down number one. This is the one that pissed me off the most, was this Evil Dead release. And then I got it damaged in from Scream Factory. Like, the actual case itself is all like crinkled up at the top. It's just a lazy release, bare bones. And they did not lower the price point, so I just thought it was stupid. I mean, Army of Darkness came out from Scream Factory, had 4 discs, tons of special features, and it was the same price. And I think it was actually lower. I feel like it was lower. Just ridiculous. Evil Dead 2013. I love the movie. Love it. So this broke my heart, to be honest. Evil Dead 2013 on 4K was a horrible disappointment, and Scream Factory sucks for this. They really suck for this. But look, we're going to get off talking about Scream Factory. We're going to talk about another studio that pisses a lot of people off, and we're going to talk about Paramount. So again, this is an issue that we're going to approach from multiple angles. But with Paramount, I'm talking about all the 4K releases after they release a steelbook. The steelbooks they put out after the actual 4K steelbooks, just all the re-releasing that Paramount does that kind of just rubs people the wrong way. So we have the Wayne's World Blu-ray steelbook that a lot of people bought at the beginning of the year because they love this steelbook, and then a few months later they announced they were going to do a 4K of this and put out a 4K steelbook with the exact same design. Now, they did that with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as well. Released the steelbook last year, and then this year they released the 4K. Now, you also have The Ring, which just came out with a steelbook, and you have Catch Me If You Can, which just came out with a steelbook, and a lot of people are speculating that they'll probably do 4K. So this kind of stuff, just knowing the Paramount trends and patterns, kind of makes people reluctant to pick up this kind of stuff, these steelbooks, because they know that they're going to re-release them at some point. And also the, releasing the Godfather 4K steelbooks after they released the Godfather 4K trilogy made you buy them all by themselves, and then they did individual releases months later. So all that stuff just kind of rubs people the wrong way, because they're like, I want the option. Maybe I didn't want Coda. Maybe I just wanted Godfather 1 and 2. And again, that goes back to the Halloween things. Give people more options. Quit making them feel so trapped in their physical media purchasing and options that they have. I think that Paramount is probably among the worst of the culprits when it comes to that. Just releasing stuff on, and again, we could talk about Paramount Presents as well, and the fact they're releasing 4Ks now of the Paramount Presents stuff. Fatal Attraction got a 4K this past year, which I think that was a controversial release as well, but I did not pick that one up. I'm good with my Paramount Presents release. So yeah, Paramount, when it comes to all the re-release, and look, at the end of the day, I think that at this point, this is what we should come to expect as physical media collectors. Like, especially if you've been doing this long enough, Blu-rays come out, 4Ks come out. It's just the name of the game at this point. And like I've said numerous times, they're putting these steelbooks out to gauge the interest level of these movies. So if people do not buy them, we might not get the 4K. So you kind of vote with your dollars when it comes to that kind of stuff. So if I didn't buy Wayne's World, the Blu-ray steelbook at the beginning of the year, if enough of us didn't buy it, we might not have got that 4K that came out at the end of the year. So I think that's important to consider as well. So I don't necessarily have too big of a problem with it, but I know that a lot of people do, and it is a big ongoing controversy with Paramount and their release strategy. So that was my number 6. So let's get into my number 5, and this is one that I actually personally did not watch, but I know a lot of people got very pissed off over this Pirates of the Caribbean 4K that Disney put out in January. This is the very first release of 2022, and it pissed a lot of people off. First off, Pirates of the Caribbean is a huge film. It's a huge franchise. It's made billions of dollars, globally. Like, everybody loves Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, all that stuff. So why would you be lazy with this one? This just shows like how little Disney actually cares about their physical media 4K releases. The fact that they would botch this transfer, I just heard tons of terrible things about this one. I do want to check it out personally though and see what I think of it. But Pirates of the Caribbean was definitely one. This is a big movie, and it's just the shining example of how little Disney cares about their physical media. And when we start to, speculate about Disney doing True Lies or Aliens, or The Abyss is supposedly coming, it makes you think, do I really want this? Like, do I really want them to continue to mess up these movies that I love? Like, just give it to somebody else to do. Like, give it to Kino Lorber, give it to Criterion, give it to Arrow. I would love an Arrow release of True Lies. Like, that would be absolutely amazing, but I just don't think we're going to get that. I don't think that Disney's going to license their stuff out like that. They did it with WALL-E, so that could have opened the door, but I don't know. It's disappointing. I know this disappointed a lot of people, so that's my number 5. Let's get into my number 4, and that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So this is a big one. I maybe should have moved this one up the list, maybe to number 3 or 2. I feel like this one rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think the reason I keep it at 4 is that even though the transfer is very lackluster, I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's a horrible transfer. I noticed a slight uptick, a slight increase in quality in this 4K than I did the Blu-ray. So I think it is an improvement. It's a very minor improvement. It's a very, why did I get this? Like, this is almost just as good as the Blu-ray kind of improvement. But the reason I didn't move this further up my list is this release still has value. Even if the transfer isn't the best, you have an hour of extra bonus materials here. Never before seen footage between John Candy and Steve Martin. Just like outtakes and deleted scenes that are absolutely hilarious. Like, I watched them all. They're fantastic, extra features. So I think that's why this release still holds value to me. But yeah, the transfer was definitely mediocre. I didn't think it was worth... Look, I can understand though. You see all these incredible 4K transfers like Roadhouse, like Top Gun, restorations like Reservoir Dogs. There's just tons of great 4K restorations, and then you watch this movie and you want it to be like that because this is a classic comedy, and everybody loves this movie. This is one that people would watch every year, throw on at Thanksgiving. You want the best quality. I mean, we got Christmas Vacation, which is another movie in the same vein as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, came out around the same time period, and that restoration I thought looked great. So we wanted that same level of care put into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and we didn't get it. So I understand the frustration. At the same time, it wasn't terrible, and there is value to this. And I look, we're not, every release that we get, guys, it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. And I know people were trying to sign a petition to get them to redo this. Paramount's not going to redo this. I don't see them redoing it. Maybe they will. I don't know. But this supposedly has Dolby Vision, HDR10. I just don't see them going back in and given this the time of day to redo it. They did it in 4K. It's a classic, and people bought it because it had the extra bonus features. I just don't think that it's worth it to them to go back in and redo this. I just really don't. So I think we're stuck with this one. And I don't think it's bad. Like I said, I don't think it's bad. It could definitely be better. There's a lot of releases that could be better. But yeah, put this at number 4. This one was definitely one that a lot of people got upset about, was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. All right, we're getting into the top 3, guys, the nitty gritty here. Let's talk about Friday the 13th on 4K. So yeah, a lot of people, again, this was another one that before I actually watched it, I heard people complaining about, bitching about, saying it's too dark, I can't see anything in this movie. But I watched this and I was like, what the hell are you all talking about? Is it a little dark? Yes, but a lot of 4K transfers I watch are a little dark. That's kind of the nature of it, because when you apply that HDR, it kind of puts a tint over it and really brings the film's colors back to that natural state that they were originally intended, the way that they were originally intended to look. And I thought that this was a beautiful transfer by Paramount. It was probably one of the best of the year that they did, to be honest. Could it be better? Yes. But you also have to think of the original materials that were used for this restoration. They shot this movie. They didn't have the best lighting. Like, this was a very low budget movie. Like, they shot this movie a lot of times in candlelight, just very low lighting. That's the kind of, this movie was not intended to be seen in the highest resolution in 4K. They did not know this was going to get a 4K and be viewed like this 40 something years later. So, I mean, they shot this movie in candlelight and just used very dim lighting. And the Blu-rays that came out, especially the Shout Factory Blu-ray with the 4K scan, they kind of really just brighten things up. But that's not the way the movie was originally intended to look. And when I watched that Shout Factory Blu-ray, I'll never want to watch that again because it's so bright and it's so colorful, and that's not the way that I want to watch Friday the 13th. This release actually, it dims things down, and it actually adds a creepier, more atmospheric aesthetic to the actual film, and just immerses you in the world of Friday the 13th like you've never have been before. So I loved this release, and I don't see what all the complaining was about. I thought this was a great 4K from 2022, and I do not get the criticism at all. So I could not have any different of an opinion on the Friday the 13th 4K as the people that hate on this one and say it's shit. I do not think it's shit. I think it's a phenomenal 4K that came out this year. Friday the 13th on 4K was awesome. Let's get into my number 2. And actually my number 2 and 1, both of these releases came out in August. They came out very close together as well. Let's talk about Heat. This is my number 2 controversy of 2022 in physical media. So yeah, Heat, much like Friday the 13th, came out. Everybody was complaining, it's too dark, it's too dark. It's the way that Michael Mann originally intended this film to look. And again, this is another situation where I thought the 4K on this was incredible, and people were hating on this release way too much. A lot of people were saying, though, I'm fine with the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks a lot better than the 4K. I don't think that's the case at all. I watched my Blu-ray. Yes, it's a lot brighter, but the clarity's not there, and the colors are definitely not as vibrant as in this 4K. And yes, this is dark. It is dark, but also it adds to the aesthetic of the film. This is a very dark film anyway. A lot of this film is set at night. Some of the scenes in the daytime look fantastic, like that first scene with the heist and them wearing the mask. All that stuff looked great. So I would not want to watch this movie any other way other than the 4K from now on. And I actually thought it added, again, to the aesthetic of the actual film. And just, I felt more immersed in the actual movie itself because of this transfer. So this was one that I was completely on the other side of as well. I could see what people are talking about. Like, again, with Friday the 13th, I can understand you watch this. It's a little bit too dark. I get that. It's a little bit too dark for you. It's hard to see, but that's the way the movie was originally intended. That's the way it was originally color graded back in the day. And they changed the color palette for the home video releases and the Blu-ray and stuff. So you've been watching it all these years the wrong way. It's not the way it was originally intended. So you're watching it now the way that Michael Mann, the director of this movie, wanted it. And I thought it looked fantastic. I thought this was a great 4K release for sure. So yeah, one that I did not understand all the complaints about. But again, this was one that a lot of people were upset about. They said, I might as well stick my Blu-ray. A lot of people were excited about this one as well. This was a very high profile release that came out in 2022. A lot of people were waiting on this, and people were complaining about Disney because this is a Fox release. And I will say the transfer was done on this before Disney bought Fox, so you cannot blame Disney for this one. It was going to look the way it looked either way, but I thought it looked beautiful. Heat on 4K. I don't get the controversy. And last but not least, guys, let's get into my number one physical media controversy of 2022. And this is a big one for me. This is the one that we're not going to talk about the transfers on these. This is not a transfer issue. I thought these looked great. But this is more so a packaging and what was in the packaging. We're going to talk about Greasegate. Scream Factory's Greasegate with these Child's Play 4K releases that came out in August this year. You know, they had some grease in them. They had that what they called off-gassing. The Scream Factory actually made a statement on this, or they replied to somebody on Twitter about the greasy cases, sludge residue inside the cases that everybody got so worked up about. Look, this is the one that made me the most upset. I'm going to be honest, it made me the most upset. And I'm not upset about anybody. Like, if you complained about this, like, I completely understand. You want your stuff in the best, but you pay a lot of good money for this stuff. You want it in the best possible condition when you receive it. And I completely understand that. So if you made a video on this or you complained online, I don't care, like, if you did that. Like, that doesn't bother me. I don't get upset at the actual person. It's more so like the situation and just how much this blew up and everybody was talking about it, to the point that I actually got these in early. I got these in before anybody else did, I feel like. I pre-ordered through Scream Factory all the way back in May. I was one of the first people to pre-order. I got these in like a week and a half early. I watched them all immediately. I reviewed them all on my channel. And then like a week later, everybody started to get them, and everybody started to talk about this grease residue inside. And that was the entire conversation. Nobody talked about how great these damn releases were, except for me. I feel like nobody was talking about how great the transfers were, how great the special features were, the fact that they re-released the first Child's Play. And, they gave us because Scream Factory had done Child's Play before. They gave us the old special features, but they also gave us new special features. And Scream Factory never does that. They always just recycle all the stuff and don't give us anything new. They give us a bunch of new features here with Don Mancini and Tom Holland. And we got new audio commentaries. We got, Dolby Atmos on these releases, like I talked about earlier. And the transfers were beautiful. All these look great. Nobody talked about that. Everybody just talked about the fucking grease inside of it. It just really upset me. And look, I never cleaned this stuff out. We'll look inside, because Child's Play 2 was the one that had the biggest problems. But you'll look right here and you can see a little bit of off-gassing, or whatever they call it in there, a little bit of residue, whatever. It was worse in some than it was others. I don't feel like mine was really all that bad. And my 1 and 3 didn't really get it at all. But also the thing that made me upset is everybody talked about this like this is the first time this had ever happened. I discovered this like a year or two before these came out with Kino Lorber. Like, Spaceballs had this greasy residue stuff inside. This is a condition, and like when I looked at some of my other 4Ks, like I've noticed it. Like, this is an issue that happens with all. It's off-gassing. It's some kind of condition where I guess they produce the cases and the heat from the cases is still there, and they close them up and it kind of creates this like condensation thing inside. And that's all it is. It's just like condensation from the plastic when they close it up. But it looks disgusting when I get it. It looks disgusting when you open it up. But to me, it's not a big deal. It's not worth getting that worked up over. Get a little cloth and wipe it off, whatever. I get it though. You don't want to have to do that. You want it perfect. I get it. But at the Scream Factory, they threw Scream Factory under the bus. They said, this is the first time I've ever seen this. And look, if you've been collecting 4Ks, Blu-rays for any length of time, like, this is not, you're full of shit. Like, you've noticed this stuff before. It's just because it's Scream Factory and you wanted to blow it up, because Scream Factory is an easy target. Like, I've already been talking about them, and this whole bit, like, half this list is Scream Factory. They're an easy target. They mess stuff up a lot. They do a lot of things that, piss people off. So it's an easy target to tackle. But these didn't deserve the level of criticism that they got. These are great damn releases, and they're so awesome, and I love them. And then when they came out, everybody just talked so negatively because of the grease. And it just felt like everybody that was talking about the grease, like, they didn't even watch the damn things. They didn't even enjoy them like they should have. So Yeah, this one, it's just disappointing. It upset me. It really upset me. But there's not a doubt in my mind. This is the biggest, at least for me, the biggest physical media controversy of 2022 was Greasegate, Screen Factory's Greasegate. So there you have it, guys. That's the biggest physical media controversies as I see it of 2022. Let me know in that comment section below what some of your biggest physical media controversies were. I would certainly love to hear about it. Also, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.